All right, we will get started in just a couple minutes. I'll give a minute or two for some people to join. Let people transition over from the game that just ended. 2 games tonight. Hope everyone is doing well on this Saturday night. Not the greatest games. I think that the Packers and the Bills certainly outclassed the Panthers, and the Bills outclassed Denver. So overall, it was all right. It wasn't the best night, but a lot of good college games. That's always fun to see the championship games going out there. Honestly, I have no clue if there's going to be a audience for this one or not. I know it's later than our normal time, so we're going to see if people join, or if maybe we'll end it shortly. So I don't know, but figured I would jump on and see if we're going live or not. And as normal, just ask your questions. What do you got? We can go over games tomorrow. Just kind of hang out for a little bit and then go forward. So let's see. Just send one more tweet out. All right. Okay. So 10 people here. Thank you all for joining. I guess what I'm going to do, unless there's questions, I think that I'm just going to sort of go through the games tomorrow, go through some plays from a DFS perspective, certainly jump in, and then we'll go, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, maybe longer if the demand is there. So like I said, sort of an unplanned, unscheduled thing that I just wanted to hop on. I was tied up with a family Christmas thing all night. So, here we go. Okay. People are starting to join. So feelings on Drew Brees. Yeah. I mean, Drew Brees in a season-long league, if he's your best option, I think you got to play him. I think in a DFS league, I sort of like the weapons around him more than I like Brees himself. Alvin Kamara is probably one of the top plays this week, bar none. And then Emmanuel Sanders, I think, is also in a tremendous spot with Michael Thomas being out. So I'm sort of lukewarm about Brees. I don't know what the upside is, but that game could shoot out. So you may want to go, if you're in a GPP, stack that game and just go Mahomes, Kelsey, Kamara, Sanders, and hope it's a 35-31 type game. Trusting Corey Davis and Gus Edwards over Fournette and Hawkinson. No. I just don't. I can't trust Gus Edwards, and the carries, the consistency in carries just isn't there for me. He may have 7 carries, he may have 11 carries, but he's probably not going to have anything more than that. It's a bit weird. I don't know if it's weird, but it's a bit strange that the tight end is in there. I'm still not going Gus Edwards, I don't think. Tannehill or Brees? Good question. I would go Tannehill. I think that I would go Tannehill. Is Kelsey a must-play in GPPs on FanDuel? Well, I would say no. I mean, there are plenty of builds that you could have out there where you don't have Kelsey, and he's going to be extremely popular. He's probably going to be 20 to 25% rostered, somewhere in that range. But if you want Henry, if you want Cook, if you want Calvin Ridley, if you want, I don't know, AJ Brown or DK Metcalf, or if you want Mahomes and Cook or Mahomes and Henry or Lamar Jackson in one of those running backs, it's going to be really hard to get Kelsey in. So I'm going to say he's not a must play. He's a very good play, but he's going to be popular. And that's sort of what you have to balance there as far as I would consider fading him at 8,500 on FanDuel in a GPP setting. He's still a tight end. He's still a receiver. I would tend to spend a little more on a running back if I was going to go in the – I love Dalvin Cook in GPPs this week. I think he's going to go a little under rostered, and I think his upside, second time facing the Bears, is pretty good. 2-quarterback league, who sits? Ben, Hurts, or Trubisky? I am sitting – let me just make sure of this. I give you the right information. Let's see. Quarterbacks. Roethlisberger. And everyone, I will answer season-long questions tonight as well. So if you got them, throw them up there. I know a lot of people are trying to get into their playoffs, or most people are already in their playoffs. Hurts or Trubisky? I am sitting Mitchell Trubisky. Logan Thomas or Gesicki? Give me close. I'm going to go Mike Gesicki. I think that the Patriots are going to try and take away and really blitz Tua quite a bit. So I could see some dump off throws to Gesicki this week. Gus Edwards, yeah, I like J.K. Dobbins a lot, but unless I miss some news that, like I said, I've been out. So is Dobbins out? That's like our third question on Gus Edwards. I don't see anything. So, yeah, I'm playing Dobbins, but I don't know that I love Gus Edwards there. Allen Robinson in cash, yes. I mean, he's not in my build right now, but I do love him. I think he's a great price. What do I think Derrick Henry's ownership will be? So, depending on the site, but somewhere around 25 to 27%, something like that. Favorite receiver on DraftKings? I think it has to be Emmanuel Sanders. With no Michael Thomas, with Drew Brees back. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. It's Sanders at 4,200. You could look at Traquan Smith at 3,200. I'm not trusting Traquan Smith, to be honest. One of my favorite guys this week is T.Y. Hilton at 55. I think he's in a tremendous spot. Really think he is on a upward trajectory, going up against Vernon Hargreaves, who might be the worst corner in football. FanDuel running backs: Fournette, Drake, Akers, Kamara, Dobbins. Any preference of the group? I like Akers, Kamara, Dobbins. I mean, look, Fournette. I know there's a lot of questions on Fournette. I would go back and listen to what I had to say on the Power Grid during the running back section. And if you haven't checked that out, I made it very clear that I'm not playing Fournette where I can. I mean, if you just want to play him in a cash game because he's going to be popular, and you don't want him to go off and you to be behind, I get it. But Atlanta has one of the better defenses in football against the run. They're averaging about 3.7 yards per carry. And Fournette, when he was on you look at Fournette's last 3 games, and these are games that he was on the field for 50% of the snaps. He had 3 for 10, 7 for 17, and 8 for 19. It comes out to 2.5 yards per carry. He may only have 6 or 7 carries here, guys. I mean, they may throw the ball 40, 45 times against this Atlanta secondary, and that's the worry. In a GPP setting, I think Fournette's a fine play. He's going to be popular. But in cash, I think it's a mistake. I think he's going to be popular, but I do think it is a mistake that he's going to be that popular. Could he have a big game? Sure. But just like David Montgomery last week, I was off of him, and he had 11 carries, 120 yards, did something that he had never done in either college or the pros, which is have a 35-yard or longer touchdown, and he had an 80-yard touchdown. So, I mean, there's variance there where Fournette could break a long one, certainly. I mean, that's in the realm of possibilities, but I'm trusting the process that he's not that great of a running back. If Stafford is ruled out, would I pivot off the Rams D to use the maybe? So right now I have the Rams D on FanDuel. The problem with the Titans D is they don't generate any pass rush. And if you look at sacks, let me just pull up sack totals. ESPN, team defense, sacks. Defense. I'm sure we have this somewhere on Football Guys, but I'm so used to just pulling it this way. Sacks. Titans are dead last. They have 14 sacks on the year. And if you look at opportunities for defenses, I want sacks and interceptions, and their secondary is pretty garbage too. So, I mean, Gardner Minshew tore him up. Baker Mayfield tore him up. Probably not doing that. Oh, boy, that's living. That's fine living right there, Scott. You're definitely playing Tyreek. So the question's A.J. Brown and Ridley. Can't go wrong. I mean, is this like a 4-team league? I would go Ridley, but if that's anything less than an 8-team or anything more than like a 6 or 8-team league, you are in great. You're in a great spot. Hey, Kurt, thank you. And give this a thumbs up. It really helps continue this. So if everyone could do that, I mean, it doesn't take more than a second of your time just to click that little thumbs up button. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, just click the little bell. It does help us grow the platform on this platform and really grow our outreach. So it would be much appreciated. Is Kamara a better cash game play now that Breeze is back, or would I stay with Cook? Kamara is the cash game play. He's the clear-cut number one guy this week. Much better with Drew Brees back than Taysom Hill, because in the red zone, if they're running the ball, it's going to be all Kamara. With no Michael Thomas, he's going to get a lot of passing opportunities, and you don't have to worry about Taysom Hill running the ball in the end zone. So I expect Kamara. He's too cheap on both sides. Thoughts on DJ Chark against injured corners on Baltimore? I mean, he's not on my list. I mean, 5,000 on DraftKings is the problem. The price is still too high. When I can get Sanders at 42, I can get Hilton at 55. It just hasn't come down enough as it otherwise should. He's not going to be very popular, so if you have a strong feeling, I think he's a fine GPP play. Deontay Johnson or DeAndre Swift? Let's see. Probably going to go with the running back there, especially if Stafford is out. I mean, if I look at Swift facing Tennessee, I talked about their lack of pass rush. This time of year, I'm sort of especially for fantasy football playoffs, and I'm in a couple of them I want the guy that I know I'm going to get more points out of. Taking a 0 and Johnson's not going to get a 0, obviously, but the drops have been concerning. If he has 1 or 2 drops, does he get benched again like he did last week? I'm going Swift. No. I mean, we could, but people don't care. That's the problem, Bullseye. I mean, we're constrained on time as it is. We try to keep the show within an hour. The analytics that we have show that at the end of the day, people don't care about the recaps. We've done a lot of things over the last 5 years, and they get really terrible views. Like at the end of the day, it's you're gonna follow us if we're giving good advice. You're not gonna follow us if we give bad advice. We try to give the most thoughtful advice that we can. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't typically like to just say, and it's not that we're hiding anything. I mean, I'm certainly an open book when it comes to results. In my article on Football Guys has all of my last week results, and it has my cash game lineup in there. So I am completely transparent, but it's just people don't care, and we're sort of pressed on time. You guys would be amazed if you looked at, and I'm not sure how many are familiar with YouTube, but people, if they don't hear talk that they they click out of it very quickly. So the average watch time is about 50% of the video, and a large percentage of people just stop watching very early on. 12 team, and you have those 3, Ridley, Brown, and Tyreek. Whew. FanDuel Cash, Ayuk, Sanders, Hilton, okay. Yep, that's the 3 that I have. Kamara or Jonathan Taylor? Kamara. Ebron or Chase Claypool? Assuming that means 1.5 PPR, I think. I would probably go Ebron in that case. I mean, let's look at what he's. We'll look at a couple of different things here. So yeah, he kind of burned you last week. 2 for 30, but let me just look at the snap counts here. Ebron, I mean, they dipped a little bit. He was on the field for 67% of the plays. Same number as Claypool, actually. Yeah, I mean, I would likely go Ebron, and it goes back to that safeness that I was talking about earlier. I feel a little safer with the 1.5 premium. Do I think Hurts is just underpriced to have as a FanDuel quarterback? I would love Lamar and I would love Mahomes. I just can't afford them. And at 6,900 on FanDuel, having the rushing upside for Hurts, I don't like him on DraftKings because of the 300-yard bonus nearly as much. But on FanDuel, the Eagles going up against Arizona. I mean, look, somehow the Eagles are still in playoff contention at 4-8-1, and Hurts ran for 1,300 yards at Oklahoma last year. What did he run for last week? 73, 74, something like that, maybe 75. In Arizona, I mean, they're a middle-of-the-road defense. They're average, as average can be. Mahomes has a tough matchup, but he's matchup proof against New Orleans. They are allowing the third fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks. And then Lamar Jackson, I mean, look, Lamar Jackson has been great the last 2 weeks, but you look at his prop numbers, you look at his trend game. I wrote it up in my article this week that 5 of his 6 games in which they've won by 10 or more points, he's averaging like 51 rushing yards. Yeah, he had a good game. Last 2 games have been good, but does that continue? Maybe. But I can't find a lineup. I guess I could go down. The way to probably do it is come off of the Rams and go down to the Cowboys. Something like that. And you could upgrade to Hurts up to Lamar. But for me, the Rams are the first time in a long time that I can remember that I've paid up for defense. I look at their sack rates, their interception rates. They're both top 3 in the NFL, and they're in a tremendous spot this week with their defensive line against the Jets that largely have nothing to play for. I think it's a blowout game as Vegas is expecting. Dallas wide receivers viable, yes. Who do I think is my favorite? Let me pull this up. Who do I think is my favorite? I think it's Michael Gallup. If you look at just snap counts, he's on the field for 94% of the plays. Amari Cooper's 82%. CeeDee Lamb is only 51% last week. He's fluctuating between 50 and 60 on the season. And Gallup at 3,500. Lamb is 4,500. I think Gallup is in a better spot to hit value. I do like all of them though, so if you prefer CD, go for it. Thoughts on 49ers backfield for PPR? Mostert or Wilson? Do I have to? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that, if I look at Jeff Wilson, the answer is probably Mostert, but I'm not particularly high on either one of them. I have Mostert at 10.9 DraftKings points, and I have Wilson at like 10.1. So it's close, but neither one of them just pop as far as value goes. How do I feel about Falcons receivers against Tampa with Jones out? They shut down the Vikings duo last week. Yeah, I mean, I'm still targeting Calvin Ridley and GPPs. I think that you look at his production and without Julio Jones, let's just pull this up really quickly. Without Julio Jones, here are the 4 games this season he's played without Julio. 124 yards and a touchdown against the Chargers, who have a very good pass defense. 50 yards and a touchdown against Vegas. Let's throw that one out. He still had 9 targets in that game, still had 17 DraftKings points. It's okay, not great. But then we go down the list a little bit more. 136 yards on 8 catches against Carolina, and then 110 on 5 against Chicago. So he's averaging, what is that? 110, 246, 296, 396, 420. He's averaging 105 yards per game without Julio. So I think he's in a great spot. And he's faced all sorts of defenses. Chicago and Los Angeles both are pretty difficult. So is this a 3 running back week in cash on DraftKings? Every week is a 3 running back week in cash for me. Yeah, we probably have a similar lineup. T.Y. Hilton or Corey Davis? T.Y. Hilton. I think that Corey Davis, and I was all over Corey Davis last week. I thought the upward trajectory was looking great. The matchup was looking great. And it's looking great again. I mean, Detroit when it comes to defense, Detroit sucks all around. I mean, that's the reality, is that they're some of their bottom tier of bottom tier. But what that means is that it's a great matchup for Derrick Henry. It's a great matchup for A.J. Brown. It's a great matchup for Jonnu Smith, potentially. I mean, T.Y. Hilton is the clear-cut guy there. And he's in a tremendous matchup as well. I talked about the Vernon Hargreaves matchup that he has. I think it's a tremendous matchup for T.Y. Hilton. Hurts, Breeze, Rivers. You really need to change your name, man. I'm not going to post your questions up here anymore. Hurts, Breeze, Rivers. I think on DraftKings, it is Rivers, Hurts, Breeze. And I think that's what you're asking because it's the same price for all three, where they're a little bit different. Breeze is more expensive on FanDuel, but I think it's a Kamara week, and I think he's in a tremendous spot. I think that he's in, he very easily could see a lot of work. Breeze is more of a GPP play. We don't know what he's going to do. We don't know how they're going to react in the red zone. We don't know third downs. Are they going to bring Taysom Hill in? Who knows? We have the same core except Jackson, Fournette, Robinson, Cowboys, Hurts, Dobbins, Hilton, Rams. Yeah, I mean, look, I talked about it earlier. I'm completely fine if you want to play Fournette. He's just not for me. No, you're fine, man. I just need to be careful a little bit as far as showing names. Thank you, Kyle. 45 people. I figured it would be a little bit lighter. It's late on the East Coast and sort of an ad hoc thing. I mentioned that it was going to be canceled this week. So I'm going to give it another few minutes. I don't know how long we're going to go tonight. But if you have any other questions, feel free. We can talk strategy. We can talk how to become a writer if this is something that you want to do. I don't know. And whatever you guys want to talk about, honestly. I have nothing planned. If not, I will go and I will watch the Canelo fight here in about 10 minutes. I think it's already going on, but I will give it another minute or two, and then if there are no more questions, we will end early tonight. Like I said, I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you get to see your family a little bit. I know times are a little bit tough, so I fortunately had a very small gathering this evening. It was nice. Trubisky or Watson? I'm going Watson. Kamara and who at running back? So some of the running backs that I like, just going through my list really quickly. Let's see. Some of the running backs that I like: Kamara, Cam Akers, I love. J.K. Dobbins, I talked about a little bit earlier. I think if you want to take a shot on a David Johnson at 5,100 on DraftKings, he's fine. Fournette, probably not for me. I mean, I understand why, but he's not a must play. Kenyon Drake is a good DraftKings play. I don't like him as much on FanDuel. And then of the two studs at the top, I'm going Dalvin Cook over Derrick Henry. And scary, but I think that there's more guaranteed touches in cash, and in GPPs he's going to be lower rostered. So that's why. Best alternative to Fournette for a cheap running back. That's the thing. I mean, that's why you're going down to Fournette. On FanDuel, you can go to J.K. Dobbins. I think he's only like 400 more. On DraftKings, DeAndre Washington is really the only guy, but I don't view him as a cheap alternative. I don't. If you're going down to Fournette, you're building a roster around Fournette. He's the only cheap guy that low. When did I start playing fantasy football? Good question. It was AOL. Would have been 2000 maybe. I think it was like 2000. I started playing DFS in 2010, back in the very early stages of DFS. But I think I started playing fantasy football in about 2000. Really started getting into it around 2003, 2004, something like that. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you. And yeah, football guys, we've been in business, 20-something years. I've been with the company for about 6. I think what makes us a little bit unique, and it's a little bit sales pitchy here, but almost all of us have full-time jobs. So if you think about, for those that watch the Power Grid, John Lee is a I don't even know what he is. He's a doctor that does cancer research. I'm in finance. Austin is a full-time Football Guys employee, but he works. He helps his wife run her business, and then Phil is an executive for a business in New York. So sort of get perspectives from all sorts of people, and it's kind of unique that it's people coming together from different backgrounds. Watson bounced back, had a great game versus Indy 2 weeks ago. He could. He's risky. He's for sure risky, but I mean, what's their record these days? Do they have any? I don't think they have any playoff hopes. Yeah, they're 4-9. Yeah, I mean, is he going to run as much as he did earlier this year? He could, but he's risky, and that's certainly what I'll say. I don't have him on my list, but I can understand him having a good game. No, you're fine, man. You're fine. I'm just not going to read your name. Yeah, John and I, a lot of people think John Lee and I don't like each other, and that's furthest from the case. John actually, we met, fun story, we met at a Fantasy Aces, a defunct website, at a live final, and we were drinking on a boat, and we were talking, and he was on his first year at Football Guys and brought me on the following year. So him and I have known each other 6 or 7 years now, and it's all friendly. Taylor or Akers? Taylor. If that's the only question, then it's Taylor, but I don't know how you're going to build a lineup with spending up to Taylor. So I prefer Akers because of the savings, but in a straight vacuum, I have Taylor ever so slightly above Cam Akers, but I love Cam Akers this week. Bowden viable if Ackman plays. Sure. I would look at Traquan Smith, to be honest. I'd look at Michael Gallup if you're concerned about it. Both are bottom of the barrel wide receivers that are in pretty good spots. Do I like Sony Michel with Damian Harris out? That one hurts. Sony or Sonny? I always get that confused. As a GPP play, sure, I guess. Not really. I mean, thanks, man. Appreciate you. Emmanuel Sanders a lock on FanDuel, yes. Treadwell with Zacchaeus out. I'm not going to give you the Phil treatment. I can't. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Can't do it. I mean, yeah, I can't do it. Godwin, Marvin Jones, Corey Davis, Kareem Hunt. Let's go Godwin, Corey Davis. Yeah, that one's close. It's really close. Let me just double check. Marvin Jones, Kareem Hunt. We're going to go Godwin, Jones, Davis. Yeah. Do I think Miami defense is a good play? They're not. They're not bad. It depends what your other options are. I mean, on DraftKings, there's no way I would do it if that's what we're referring to, because they're 3,700, which is silly expensive. Yeah, I mean, on DraftKings, I certainly wouldn't do it. I would be looking at Seattle at 3,100 if you want to spend a little bit down, and then I would go all the way down to Dallas if you don't want to go up to the Rams. So those are really the three defenses that I'm looking at. Jalen Hurts and FanDuel, yes. I think Hurts is fine on FanDuel. What games do I recommend for first-year players on DraftKings? The beginner games. I think they still have those. The ones where experienced players can't play. I would look into those. But if you can't do those, what I would recommend is your either your $1 pick your dollar amount, but the lower the dollar amount, I think it's under 10. I don't know. I haven't played that volume. I haven't played that low in a while, but under 10, it's like something where people can only enter a certain number of contests, something like that. So I know for a while, anyone with $1 million in career earnings, I couldn't play in $1, $2, or $3 contests. I think they've taken that away. Let me check. I used to not be able to because I had over $1 million, but that's not winning. That's not net profit, by the way. That's career winnings. But I would stick to the low dollar single entry 50-50s or do head-to-heads. I love doing head-to-heads because it allows you to dissect other people's lineups. You learn a ton from just trying to go back and try to see what people did, what mistakes they made, what mistakes you made. And I really think that that's the best way to learn is that join. You'll quickly learn the people that have a ton of games posted and who the big players are. But join some of their $1 games and just see how they're building their lineups, how they're thinking about it. Your first year, it's going to be really tough to be profitable. And that's what I tell a lot of people is that coming in immediately, it is, you think about DFS and you think about it is essentially a lot of the sharpest people in fantasy football all competing against each other. It is very similar to your high stakes fantasy football season-long leagues. If you're not profitable in your first year, that's completely fine. But track every week. Track your winning weeks. Track your losing weeks. Understand why. Understand how you can improve. Are you going too heavy in one lineup in 50-50s and it's essentially all or nothing? Do you want to take a bankroll strategy where you essentially join, which is what I do, which is join about 50 to 100? And it could be less than that. I mean, certainly it could be less than that, but 50 to 100 different head-to-head contests and hope that you come out, we win 60 to 70 of them, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I would try different things and really just try and be a sponge and learn as much as you can. What do I think about 2 tight end lineups on DraftKings, Kelsey and Andrews? Yeah, I mean, I look at Kelsey as a wide receiver this week. I look at him as a wide receiver tight end flex. And he doesn't have to be – he would be my favorite wide receiver on this slate, not named Tyreek Hill. So at the tight end position, he's a tremendous value. And if you want to be different, there have been plenty of times of this season even where 2 tight end lineups have done very well. So I'm completely fine with that. Yeah, I mean, there's a comment here that says you've been playing DFS for a while and it gets more competitive each year. And that's true, but I think that the biggest thing is just, this is a fun thing. I mean, I think it's only like 20 to 25% of people are profitable. That's not saying everyone loses every contest, but if you're not doing it for fun, if you're just trying to do it just for money, no, your goal should be to be profitable. There are several seasons. I don't want to say several. There are a couple seasons in the 10 years I've been doing this where I haven't been profitable. So a lot of seasons have been, but they've varied completely different. Season-long playoffs, Russ or Tua? Russ. How much can you make playing DFS for a living? That's a loaded question. I mean, someone could make $1 million by winning a single contest. It really depends. Very few people do it for a full-time living. Like I would say 100 or less. But a lot of people do it to supplement their income. Yeah, the quarter arcades are absolutely fun. You can build, 150 lineups, something like that in that contest. We have a optimizer tool at Football Guys where you can essentially take it and it'll build 150 lineups for you, and you can save those lineups, you can delete lineups, you can replace lineups, all those different things. So building them by hand, if you're building that many, is a nightmare, and I don't recommend it. So if you're going to go down that path, I think going with a website that has a lineup optimizer is the way to go. Half-point PPR, Drake or Dobbins? I think if you need safety, right? So if you just need, I need 8 points, go Kenyon Drake. If you need a big day, you got to go Dobbins. Yeah, FanDuel has beginner contests. I think DraftKings does. I know Yahoo absolutely does. And if you're not playing on Yahoo, and if you're a beginner, I would highly recommend it. There's a lot of sharp players that just avoid it because you can't get the volume that you can on other sites, but they have beginner contests as well. So I would look at beginner contests, and then I would just look at how you can improve your game by evaluating other people. Does your weekly Football Guys column reflect your general DFS strategy? I would say I try to give as much information as I can, within reason. So I don't take every single thought that I have. I'm not holding anything back. Let's be very clear. I play those lineups that I post out there, particularly Sunday morning update. From a time standpoint, I could turn that article into 10 to 15,000 words, to be honest, and really try to build it out. And it's something I want to do next year, where it's like breaking down every player, breaking down my thought process and eliminating certain players, breaking down how I'm evaluating every single injury and every single every single potential change within if this player's out or that player's out. So I try to keep it a little bit short, particularly because a lot changes between Saturday and Sunday, and it's moving quickly, particularly this year with COVID. But so there are in-depth, complex aspects that I don't touch on, but I try to touch on everything that I'm doing at a high level. So in an ideal world, hopefully next year we get more time and things aren't as crazy, but that's sort of how I'll answer that question. I don't know what that was in response to. Okay, so we've been live for 45 minutes. It's after midnight on the East Coast. It's 11:08 where I am, but I'll go another 2 minutes or so. Am I changing my lineups all the way through Sunday morning? Yeah, I am. I'm still evaluating things throughout the night on Saturday. I'm up at 3, 4 in the morning when typically Schefter and Rappaport start tweeting inactives, and then I'll go back to sleep for a few hours, and then I'll jump back and finalize my roster. But normally I have a pretty good sense as far as what I'm doing. I've made some really bonehead mistakes this year. I've made some good decisions on Sunday morning as well, but trying to limit the amount of overreacting I do and really trying to not adjust as much on Sunday morning. But yeah, I'm actively looking, actively making sure that there's not a news report or a coach's report out there that something changed, or this guy's going to be on a snap count, or this guy's out, or this guy's questionable, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I'm tinkering and experimenting and trying to make sure there's nothing that I've missed, because there's just so much information out there. Outside of football, guys, where do I gather my information? Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I do a lot of my stuff up until Saturday on my own, using Pro Football Focus, Pro Football Reference. So looking at game logs, looking at snap counts, that type of thing. And then Sunday morning, I subscribe to basically everywhere, and basically just trying to see, am I off the mark anywhere? Am I missing anything that anyone is doing across the industry that is big, and am I okay with accepting that risk, particularly on the GPP side? So most of it in the 10 years that I've been doing this now, it's all organic. But yeah, I'll just stick with that as my answer. Cash game for DraftKings, Mahomes or Jackson? In a vacuum, it's Mahomes. Assuming the 400 doesn't impact anything, but the matchup's tough. But you look at Mahomes, and he's throwing for 300 almost every week. Can we jam him with? Can we go team jam him with Kamari and Henry? I'm guessing you're saying Kamara and Henry. On DraftKings, you might be able to if you go like Gallup, and it means no Kelsey, and that's the problem. But Henry, I mean, if you believe in Henry, I think he's going to have a good game. I just don't know if he's going to have that great game back to back. Detroit's been bad, but they shut down Aaron Jones last week. They've been trending in the right direction. I think since week 6, they're only allowing 4 yards a carry to opposing running backs. I think he has over 100 yards. I think he scores a touchdown. But the question that you have to answer for yourself is, how do you feel about the bottom end, the mid-tier running backs? Because if you're not high on Jonathan Taylor, if you're not high on Cam Akers, if you're not high on J.K. Dobbins or Leonard Fournette, or James Robinson, something like that, and all those guys bust, then you're in a great spot with 100 yards and a touchdown. Is he going to have 180 and 2? Then you probably want him if you think that's going to happen. So that's how I would go. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm here for. So I want this live stream to be as much about off the cuff type stuff as it is just about picks. You're all good, T. It was sort of a last minute, hey, I'm home from a family Christmas thing and going live. So Henry, Kamara, Fournette for cash. I think that's fine. Okay, Goskowski or Blankenship. Oh, I don't study kickers at all. I'm not the right person to ask, honestly. Honestly, I would be doing a disservice if I even answered that question. DK Cash, Hurts, Hilton, Sanders, Gallup, or Ryan, Ayuk, Hilton, Gallup. Why does it have to be one or the other? Oh man, that's tough. Hilton, Gallup are a wash. So it's really, am I understanding it right? It's Hurts and Sanders. Hurts and Sanders versus Ayuk and Ryan. Ayuk and Ryan. But I love Emmanuel Sanders. That's the problem. So I would try. Yeah, I don't love Gallup that much. I mean, he's fine, but I think Emmanuel Sanders is a guy that I'm forcing into my lineups. 70-30 is a good DFS strategy. Yeah, I'm about 85-15, 90-10, but I know people that are 30-70. So it's really what you're comfortable with. If you want to be a GPP player and just shoot for the moon and have, it's frustrating. I will be completely honest. Being a GPP player is frustrating at times because you'll go 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks in a row without winning anything. And then you hope that you have 1 or 2 hits a season that make it up. Do I like Jeff Wilson more than Fournette? No, I like Fournette more. What happened with John Lee's tip and picks? Is it not up? I know he's doing his MBA. So I think he had some finals or something. Yeah, it's up there. It's up. Is there an issue with it? Send me a note on Twitter or something, and I can take a look at it. Is Jeff Wilson a good play? I don't think so. He was with no Mostert, but with Mostert back in, I don't love him. Do I still like the Colt stack? Maybe Hansen run it back? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a sneaky game that could be one of the higher scoring games of the week. Hurts, Kamara, Henry, Jano? I don't know who Jano is. The rest of it's fine. Jared Cook this week. As a mid-range play at the tight end position, sure. I'm trying to fit Kelsey in. Hurts or Rivers? Hurts for me. Let me think about this. On FanDuel, Hurts, DraftKings, Rivers. Yeah. Because of that 300-yard bonus. Anything else? Oh, season long. Hurts. Because you probably don't get a 300-yard bonus. Anything else? Oh. Jonnu Smith in cash. Just going back to this. It's okay. It's okay. It's a lot of Tennessee. Would I upgrade Drake from Dobbins and shuffle around if Edmonds is ruled out? On DraftKings, I think Drake is a better play than Dobbins. On FanDuel, I still like Dobbins. I like the upside. But check my Twitter for my Sunday morning update. If you're not the Sunday morning update's free. It's where I post my final lineup. It's free for this week. Next week, I should be good to go next. Yeah, I should be good at the normal time next week. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thoughts on Haskins and McLaurin? I'm not doing it. Is Kelce an equally important play on DraftKings and FanDuel? I think so, but it's only because I don't believe that Henry is going to have 170 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, look, you have to ask yourself this question. What are the odds that Kelce matches Henry? And it's kind of a crazy question, but if he has 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, that's 24 points. For Derrick Henry to get 24 points, he's going to need, 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, 14, 24. That's 27 on DraftKings. For Derrick Henry to do that, he's going to need 181. So, because he doesn't catch the ball. So, I think if you're spending up, Kelce is a tremendous play. Okay, I'm going to give it 30 more seconds for any of the last questions to come through because I'm on a little bit of a delay. But if not, the Twitter handle, I will post it here, twitter.com/DevinNotFBG. Go follow that. I post all my Sunday morning thoughts, free for this year. It'll be behind the paywall for next year, including my FanDuel cash lineup, and then just any injury news, any process, anything that I have that's going on. So, and then you'll hear me tilt and vent during the actual games on Sunday. Okay, Kyler's fine as a GPP play. The shoulder issues worry me a little bit, but he's fine. So, with that, I wish everyone a happy Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I hope everyone gets to spend some time. No, I'm not. It's not a Wi-Fi thing as far as why I'm delayed. It's a StreamYard thing. It's just takes time to sync with Yahoo on these or YouTube on these lives. So with that, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas. If you celebrate, if not, I hope you have some time off from work and spend some time with family and just sort of reflect on 2020 and what a terrible year it's been for a lot of people, and look forward to 2021 and the new year. And we'll be back next week. But with that, I wish everyone luck in their playoffs if they're in it. And I wish everyone luck in week 15 of DFS. So I will see everyone next week. Have a good night.